name is Kira Stafford. I'm a PhD student studying primate conservation, and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions. Okay, so the first question that we got is, which end of a banana do monkeys eat from? I know that the monkeys are not supposed to eat bananas the way that we do, so we obviously get a banana and then you peel it using the kind of like long stem thing, whereas monkeys will take it and open it on the other side. Why they do this and actually how widespread this is in the wild, I have no idea. Okay, so the next question is whether or not animals experience human emotions such as loneliness, fear, sadness and excitement is an issue of debate. From your experience working with primates, do you believe animals can experience complex emotions, and to what extent, and how so? If so, how is this evident? Measuring emotions is obviously really difficult because we can only see things through human perspective, sort of thing. So I know that this sort of field is a bit of a minefield, and it's really difficult to get papers that will conclusively say that an animal is kind of feeling something. Having said that, I mean, there's some pretty good evidence there that even rats experience empathy. So there was an experiment where there was two rats, and one of them was put in water that he didn't like very much, and then the other one could free him if he wanted to just by like pressing on a lever. And they found that the rats would always kind of like save their friend, even if like they were being like distracted by chocolate or something like that, they would still save their friend. You know, if there's empathy in rats, then there's no reason to suspect that empathy isn't found throughout, I don't know, mammals, I would guess. I know in primates, I mean, if you read any of Jane Goodall's kind of like accounts from when she's out in the field, chimpanzees have politics, they have fashions, so they have like things that they'll learn off each other, and that would be extremely fashionable for a few weeks, and then they'll all stop doing it as they kind of move on to something else. So I mean, you know, there's a whole book written on chimp politics. So I don't know. I think designing those experiments that can prove conclusively that animals are experiencing human emotions is really difficult, but from my experience and perspective, they must do. Next question. If humans were wiped off the face of the earth, would a monkey species eventually evolve into the niche of superintelligent tool user? If so, which species is most likely to take our job? So the thing about human evolution is one of the really big talking points is that we don't actually know what happens in humans that made us not evolve faster is the wrong word, but just that made us so much different than all of the animal kingdom. So there's lots of theories floating around. Some of them are about tool use. Other ones are kind of about sociality. So I think that's why people say that if we died out, then it would be a great ape that would be most likely to kind of like evolve into our niche as such. But I don't know. We don't know what happened to humans that meant that we evolved these massive societies and these cities, and we change our environment way more than any other animal. So I think until we kind of have a clear idea of how it happened with us, we can't really say whether a different monkey species has the potential to do it, or any other intelligent species really. Why don't we hear of endangered species of animals being cloned for conservation as often as we should? So I know that some cloning has been done by the Audubon Society over in the US, so they've cloned things like sandcats and caracals. The thing about cloning is that it's exorbitantly expensive. It's exorbitantly wasteful as well in terms of resources for you only will maybe get a few sandcats. So in terms of efficiency, I mean, conservation is a really cash-strapped sort of area to be in anyway. So in terms of efficiency, it's not the best way to be investing your money. So you could put that money towards, say, habitat protection, and it would go a lot further. The other thing to say about cloning is that so cloning makes new animals, but it's actually I don't want to say the majority of cases, but in a lot of cases, the main problem isn't a lack of animals, but it's a lack of habitat. So you can clone as many animals if you want, but if you've got no forest to put them into, then it's all a bit pointless. And if you haven't really solved the underlying problem, so say if you're cloning an animal, and such as the northern white rhino or something that's been hunted to extinction, then if you haven't solved that problem about the reasons why they're being hunted, there's no point in investing all this money. So I think why we don't hear about it more is that at the minute, anyway, there's better ways to invest the money. And 5, finally, do monkeys really deserve the poo thrower label they've been given? So I think mainly this, people know this from going to the zoo and having a chimpanzee throw poo at them. They have really good aim as well, some of them. So yeah, I think obviously the poo thrower label is a bit derogatory, but there's a really interesting paper that came out a couple of years ago where they measured a chimp's ability to throw, and then they looked at a chimp's ability to communicate with its peers as well. And they found that those that had better aim, those that were better throwers, better communicators. So they developed this theory to mean that actually throwing is really closely linked to communication, and that was one of the things that in humans led to the evolution of intelligence and sociality. So yeah, maybe they do deserve the name poo thrower, because chimps are really intelligent. So I wouldn't say it as derogatory. We have the science to say that if you can aim your poo really well, then you're quite a clever chimp.
So traversing across time zones can wreak havoc for our circadian system. And that's because the circadian system evolved over billions of years during a time when we never needed to rapidly shift our light-dark cycle. Now, traveling to America is a decent shift of around 5 to 10 hours, depending on where you're traveling to. And there are some tips that I can give you for when you arrive in America, and also what you can possibly do before to help you out when you go.